The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
When the bus the man, I want to watch my son up play finals on CVM, you know.
But mums, you can't watch it on CVM website, man.
Boy, my son score, my son score, my son score, my son score.
Greatness begins here.
Need to estimate your duty? Perform a track and trace? Search for a declaration?
Then download the Jamaica Customs mobile app today. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
12. Thanks for joining us for CVM News at noon for this Wednesday, September 10, 2025. I'm Amoy Harriet. Up first this afternoon, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness and opposition leader Mark Golding have joined in offering condolence to the family and friends of football legend and cultural icon Alan Skil Cole, who died on Tuesday at the age of 75. News of his passing was confirmed by family sources, sending shock waves across the country and the wider Caribbean diaspora. Now, details surrounding the cause of death have not yet been made public. Alan Skil Cole is widely regarded as one of Jamaica's greatest footballers and a cultural icon beyond the pitch. Born in Kingston on October 14, 1950, Cole rose to prominence in the 1960s and 70s as a gifted striker with a flair that captured the imagination of football fans across the island. Now, he earned his nickname Skil for his dazzling technique, fearless dribbling, and ability to command a match from any position. Now, we'll have more on the passing of Alan Skil Cole later in sports. More details this afternoon from the police on the man who engaged them in a near 4-hour-long shootout in Manchester on Tuesday. He's been identified as Dave Alfonso Wilson, a 55-year-old deportee, otherwise called Brown Man. Now, Mr. Wilson is alleged to have fatally shot and killed another man early Tuesday morning before engaging lawmen in a shooting at a nearby apartment complex. Curlin Brown has the details.
This is where the out-of-control Toyota Corolla motor car came to a stop Tuesday morning after crashing into the rear of a Prado along the Caledonia Road in Mandeville, Manchester. The driver, Adrian Bernard, also known as Eggman, was shot multiple times. The first shooting happened in Royal Flat after Mr. Bernard was reportedly engaged in a brief conversation with Dave Wilson, also known as Brown Man. Wilson is believed to have been a customer. It's alleged there was a discrepancy over cost, a difference of $200, and Wilson brandished a gun and opened fire. Although injured, Mr. Bernard managed to drive away while chased by Wilson.
You know, 7 days I will fresh this mine, I'm here 6-shot beat. And I say, oh, then panic, you know. And by the time if you come up on the road, I say a car crash with the person who get shot, I go to the hospital.
The gunshots also drew the attention of lawmen from the traffic department who were on street duties in the township. Mr. Bernard was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Meanwhile, the incident created gridlock from all directions, with the corridor cordoned off and the traffic diverted. There were chaotic scenes after investigators acting on intelligence went to an apartment complex nearby in search of the suspected shooter. The reactions and the first glimpse of what greeted the police are not fit for airplay. The gunfire was sustained and the shock triggered tension and curiosity, which were no longer confined to the parish and the local crime fighters, as the specialized operations to include the SWAT and fugitive apprehension with support from technology joined in.
We experienced over 4 hours of standoff from barrage of gunshots being fired at the police from this particular address. The police were very persistent in trying to get this individual to surrender. However, all those efforts failed.
Now, even with the running gun battle, the crowd of mostly young men seemed unperturbed, eager to also find out who was so equipped to confront law enforcement in a daylight battle.
The building was subsequently breached. And the police, disjoint efforts between the JCF and our counterparts at the military, led to them entering the building, conducting the search, and found the suspect injured. He was taken to the hospital, and we learned that he eventually succumbed to his injuries. A multi-caliber, omni-hybrid rifle capable of firing all different sorts of ammunition was recovered, as also one Beretta pistol with an extended magazine. We are still counting, but so far, over 450 assorted rounds were taken from the premises.
The police are thankful only one member sustained minor injuries to the hand. ACP Allen says they are probing whether the suspect had military training. Curlin Brown, CVM News.
The Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools is again raising concerns about support for teachers. President Linvern Wright says insufficient investment in education continues to contribute to teacher migration and persistently low literacy and numeracy rates. Carla Ramdeen has this CVM News follow-up.
As students head back to the classroom, some schools are struggling to find qualified teachers to teach them. This as a growing number of teachers are either leaving the profession or migrating for better offers overseas. President of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Linvern Wright, says this is as a result of low wages, coupled with the dissatisfaction of the government's 0% wage offer.
Really, a number of our best mathematics teachers having left because of pay. We are having a looming crisis in English. Many of our better English teachers are leaving too because people are paying them better. And I do not know that with literacy and numeracy, especially numeracy being at a crisis level, we can afford that.
It's a point supported by Principal of Old Harbour High School, Linton Ware.
Our teachers are still waiting to hear from the Jamaica Teachers Association, what will be the final. But while it is that we're waiting and waiting in anticipation, we're coming out to work and we're coming to do our work. And if it is that we have said that we're going to be here, we're going to be here and we're going to give our 100%. When you look this time around, the migration is not a lot. I have only had 2 resignations this time around. In the past, I would have had many resignations. The Trump situation, or what you'd call it, the Trump effect, is what have prevented quite a number of our teachers, to hold strain.
In the meantime, Mr. Wright is also raising concern about government funding. He says some schools are still receiving the same operational funding they did in 2016, leaving parents to shoulder the additional costs.
We are dealing with an inflation rate of over 50% over that particular year, and we have not even had a 50% increase in the money that we get. Nobody who operates a business anywhere in the world is operating on the same amount of money. And I think we just need to move away from thinking that when somebody says that you're anti-government, any government that is in, we have to ensure that we fund education properly.
He's urging the government to be more efficient with spending, suggesting that more priority be placed on vocational areas through partnerships.
Right, we are talking about, producing and construction as a country. We have to be importing labor. I think that's disgraceful. I think Heart has significant resources. I think they need to organize themselves better. And I think greater partnerships with high schools need to happen. I really think an idea that we really need to explore significantly is equipping the high schools, the labs and the vocational areas, equip them properly and use them in a multifunctional way.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
To other news, an appeal to newly elected members of parliament this afternoon to intensify efforts to fight against waste, mismanagement and fraud. Speaking on CVM's lead story prime on Tuesday, Executive Director of the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, Jeanette Carter, stressed that the government squanders billions of dollars annually that could instead be redirected to initiatives that directly benefit Jamaicans.
They say that Jamaica, for example, loses 5% of its GDP to corruption. Let's half that and say they're exaggerating, 2.5%. I just checked what is our last rating, what is our last GDP figure. That's $80 billion, Giovanni. That would be, if I half it, $80 billion that we're losing, and I don't add waste and mismanagement or yet. So I'm trying to get the Jamaican people to see that going in and sitting on the PAC is one of the most important things that they can do.
Now, former councillor for the Maxfield Park Division, Dennis Gordon, made his final presentation at the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation on Tuesday. Now, this marks his last formal appearance before officially departing the council. Now, according to Mr. Gordon, he's carrying a motion to Parliament to provide increased financing for local government.
The major thing affecting local government is financing. I am going to advocate for 2% of central government funding to come to local government to fix all the services.
News at Noon continues with our live discussion after this break.
I've been here before. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Look! Come on. There's only one thing that this gang fear. Take a Farco! Farco Rapid Kill gives quick and effective control of all crawling and flying insects. Farco Rapid Kill, strong and effective and a fresh lemon smell. Remove the pests you don't want. Farco Rapid Kill, the effective solution with rapid killing power. Farco, tough solutions for tough problems.
Stay cool this summer with Frigidaire and Panasonic in the Singer Summer Sale event. Frigidaire fridges and freezers are now at super low prices, so you can be cool and comfortable all summer long. And with up to 40% off bedroom sets and sectionals, you save big on furniture. Only Singer has 4 months for cash and 9 months no interest. Shop today. Offers end soon.
Join us next week when we conclude our discussion on how the tourism sector has been performing in the post-pandemic environment.
Welcome back to CVM News at Noon. Now it's World Suicide Prevention Day, and Jamaica is being confronted with sobering statistics. According to data from the Jamaica Constabulary Forces Statistics and Information Management Unit, 67 suicides were reported in 2024. That's the highest in the past 5 years. Now this figure surpassed the 66 that was reported in 2023, the 63 in 2022, the 50 in 2021, and 43 in 2020. Now, this steady rise underscores an urgent call for awareness and intervention when it comes to mental health and suicide prevention. Now, to help us unpack these troubling numbers is suicidologist Dr. Donovan Thomas, who now joins us live. Welcome, Dr. Thomas.
Hi, good afternoon to you and greetings to your staff and to the viewers.
So, Doc,
it is indeed World Suicide Prevention Day. Yes.
So on that note, what do you make of this upward trend in suicide cases that we've been seeing over the past 5 years?
That people are hurting and hurting deeply. and that as a nation, we need to be very proactive in doing all we can to be able to help hurting people. Hence a conference like this today. We are at the Terra Nova Hotel in Kingston with 135 persons, and on Zoom we have over 600 people from countries as far as Uganda. And we're saying, let's learn the signs. Let's know what are protective factors. Let's recognize that the trend in Jamaica should not be allowed to continue. But each one of us must be willing to play a role in helping people to choose life.
So speaking of learning the signs, what exactly are some of these early warning signs that family and friends should pay attention to?
Every suicide attempt must be taken seriously. And every suicide expression, every thought that says, I want to kill myself, must be taken seriously. I would want to say to us as a nation, let's use our eyes, let's use our ears, and let's use our nose in determining their suicide risk. Use our eyes. What are we seeing? Is there deterioration in the way the person carries himself or herself? What are we hearing? Are we hearing thoughts and words and expressions of dying by suicide? And sometimes suicide warning signs can be overt or they can be covert. And sometimes the deterioration is so great that even when they attempt to take their own, even when they deal with the hurt and the challenges, their deterioration with their body odors. And we want to say, let's be proactive. I want to say, let's know how it is we can assess the risk. And I want to give the nation a key as to how to assess suicide risk. We must use the PIN scale. The P is a plan. The more detailed the plan, the closer the person is to the suicide act. The person who knows the place, knows the time, and knows the method is much more at risk than the person who says, you know what, I feel like I want to kill myself. Then the intensity of the method, the more drastic the method, the more likely the person will complete suicide. The N is the nearness of the method. Does the person already have the means of death? And the challenge that we have as we seek to intervene is to remove the method of death from the person. And you and I, mother, father, uncle, auntie, church member, media personnel can jump in a situation, can jump into the life and provide support so that we can help people live. Let's be proactive. Let's do what we can. Every suicide is preventable, and it requires investment of our time, of our resources, and all of our attention as a nation.
So, Dr. Thomas, speaking of resources, we know that in some countries there are what's called suicide pods or death pods, where individuals can facilitate this decision in what they call a controlled environment. Are you concerned about how exposure to this globally could influence vulnerable Jamaicans?
Indeed. Jamaicans have got to be very deliberate about making the choice to live. There are all kinds of agencies, there are all kinds of opportunities for persons to choose to die. But we are saying, let's think carefully, let's choose wisely, and let's take some deliberate actions in the way of life. I want to speak to somebody and say, what you're going through today is temporary. And as I've worked with people in whatever stage of life they're at, I have come to appreciate that what they really want is to be able to solve their problems. And they think sometimes that solving the problems mean killing self.
So, Dr. Thomas, in the Jamaican context, sadly, mental health still carries somewhat of a stigma. Is there any possibility that this could be contributing to the problem, and how do we as a society break down those barriers? All right, we appear to be having some technical challenges with Dr. Thomas there. Dr. Thomas, are you still with us? Can you hear me? All right, it appears we have lost him, unfortunately. Now, just to share with you viewers, if you notice suicidal signs in someone, reach out with empathy. Ask how they're feeling without any form of judgment, and offer in any way you can to help. Now, the suicide, that's the mental health and suicide prevention helpline, is 888 888-639-5433. That's 888-639-5433. Now to news overseas. For the first time, there are more children in the world who are obese than underweight, according to a major study by children's charity UNICEF. Now, researchers blame a shift from traditional diets to ones heavily reliant on ultra-processed foods that are relatively cheap and high in calories. BBC explains.
Teaching kids about health, one plate at a time. The school in Johannesburg has banned sweets and processed food from its campus. All the meals it serves are vegetarian, with the occasional fish dish.
So today on the menu it's khichdi, which is a mix of dal and rice with tomato chutney, halloumi and salad.
The parents